Hi everybody, I'm Bonnie Harris-Lowe, and today I'm going to be playing my MFA thesis project Parallel for you. Disclaimer, this is not the original stream. I did forget to press record when I streamed live earlier tonight, but I still wanted to give those of you who couldn't tune in a chance to check it out. So I'm going to just run through and recreate it as best as I can. So as you can see, we're on our home screen right now. This is our main theme composed by Julia Newman. It slaps. So yeah, let's jump right into the game. Got our opening cutscene. Introducing a couple of characters. Some internal conflict there. And here's the external conflict.
This way. Nohla, come on.
So yeah, that scene you just saw was establishing our main character, Nohla. Her partner, Axel, is her kind of guy in the chair. He talks to her via a communicator. That's what she was doing, this little thing. And you'll see more of him throughout the game. Well, hear more of him, I guess. And as you saw, there was a label that said Collective Soldier.
That was a close one, huh?
Being the external conflict of the game.
Really the only safe place you could find?
Yeah, it was. Sorry, no, I know it's not ideal.
It's okay. I'll be fine.
Small bugbear, I did put Nohla in the wrong spot, but as you can see, we have controls mapped for both. It said press space earlier. I plugged in my controller and then switched to press A. We do have controller support. I'm using an Xbox controller right now.
No way forward.
And here we are going to be introduced to the core mechanic of the game, which would be the world switching. For those of you who don't know what this game is about, spoiler alert, it's about switching worlds, traveling the multiverse.
I don't see any other world with a path forward.
Okay, that'll get me home faster. Let's do it.
Keep your head up, Make sure you peer before you alter so you don't fall.
So there's introduction to the peering and altering abilities. Peering is viewing. As you can see, things have turned now red and blue. The red things are things that will disappear, and the blue things are things that will appear. So I can turn peering on and off, and I can peer and then alter to switch worlds. And now the way in front of me is clear, and I can progress. I can climb up here. And though you're going to want to use peering if you've never played the game before, is you're going to want to use peering to preview what's going to appear around you or what's going to disappear. For example, if I were to alter right now, since I'm standing on a red platform that doesn't have a blue platform underneath it, I would just die, like so. But as you can see, the system is pretty forgiving. We want the active movement to be more fun and rewarding than stressful. Given that there's this extra dimension to it that makes it a little bit more complicated, so there's not really any huge consequences for falling to your death. Just have to wait a few minutes for it to load. Well, seconds, minutes, I can't speak words. But then, as you can see, so far, that was our one of our more popular and also slightly contentious mechanics while running. That was a feature that we talked about doing early on in development, but weren't sure about. People were really excited about it in our paper prototyping, but we weren't sure how we were going to implement it. But we made it. And as you saw a minute ago, you can alter while running. You also don't always have to be peering before you alter, so I could just do that.
Right? What are they gonna do? Mop the multiverse to death?
I mean, Scroop Junction could definitely use that. Anyway, keep moving for now. I don't see a safe way back here yet.
Got it.
So what Nohla and Axel are talking about there, they're talking about kind of what Nohla was doing in that opening cutscene, why she was running from the collective. She was getting information on their latest plot, which involves a device called the Cleanser, which they don't know anything about yet, but perhaps they'll find out.
What's that sound?
Shit, it's one of their envoy drones. Don't move.
collectives here. I don't believe it. They're spreading so fast.
I know. It doesn't look like any of the soldiers are here, though. I'm not getting any signals. Weird.
So here you've got some information about the collective being present on Atraxia, tying it back into the cleanser that was brought up earlier,
Find out what it does.
and Axel acting a little bit squirrely.
Nothing? Just keep a lookout for anything suspicious.
But why could he be doing that, I wonder?
Are you feeling alright?
Just a little anxious, I guess.
Yeah, me too. How about a drink once I get back to script?
Fine. You're buying.
Yeah, one of my favorite parts of writing this game was writing those friendly interactions between Nohla and Axel like that, where they're just like goofing off, talking, being buds. So you'll see now there's this little blue SD card looking thing, which I can pick up. Spoiler alert, it is a recording.
Today, Levi and I were warned by some anonymous group to stop our research into interdimensional travel, or else they'd hunt us down. These threats seem mediocre at best. All they left was a vague note and their insignia, a red raven.
We'll keep tabs on them, but this won't stop us. We need to show our daughter that you can't let people scare you out of doing what's right. Everything we're doing now is for Nohla.
Nohla, was that?
Yeah.
So as you'll see Nohla and Axel talking about now, the research logs kind of introduce some of Nola's internal conflict, in addition to being in these worlds, which she really doesn't want to be in. She's also dealing with this unresolved loss. And there's an opportunity for her to chase after them, get some answers, kind of figure out what happened to them, and learn more about her past and her parents.
Here's your chance. It's up to you.
But like Axel says, it's up to you. It's completely optional. You don't have to gather them. Although we do have a lot of like little secret pathways, hidden areas that you can traverse, where you can find some of the research logs. And once you do find them, you can open the start menu, and you'll be able to replay them. The ones that you've collected that are highlighted in yellow, you'll be able to scroll through, and they'll highlight this other color, and then you'll be able to play them back. Ooh. This is one of the secret pathways I mentioned. Brief spoiler, I'll give y'all that one as a treat. But instead, for now, I'm going to just keep progressing forward. And again, you've got to make, one of the main things you've got to make use of as you go through the game is altering on a dime, being really good about your timing, but you can also peer and like kind of get an idea of where you need to be right before you alter. It is a little tricky to get used to, which again is why we wanted the death system to be very forgiving and allowed you to respawn pretty frequently.
No, I'm picking up another signal.
And then Axel's got some more information for us.
It's like some kind of interdimensional vacuum.
What? But wait, what's going to happen to Atraxia and Nether?
I'm not sure, but I've never seen anything output this much energy. If I had to guess, they'll get sucked into that vortex by tomorrow.
That must be why there aren't any soldiers here. They're leaving these worlds to die, all those people. I have to do something.
Hold on,
So the cleanser is now no longer just an existential threat or an outside threat. It is present and active in these two worlds, which is causing some conflict between Nohla and Axel because she wants to do something about it, but he would rather her go home and get somewhere where it's safe.
Okay. I'll see what I can dig up.
One thing I do want to comment on is the differences in the scenery between Atraxia and Nether. Atraxia is based on the solarpunk aesthetic, which is basically this idea of harmony between humanity and nature. So you'll see you have like a lot of like leaves and vines growing on buildings and open plazas full of trees and like solar panels in the ground. That's what these blue hexagons are, interspersed with the concrete. Whereas Nether is a much more cold and industrial place, inspired by more of the cyberpunk aesthetic, but without a lot of like the color and brightness that cyberpunk has. It's much more dreary. Yeah, here you can see we have a junkyard as opposed to where in Atraxia there was this beautiful plaza area. to just kind of show you like the disparate nature of the worlds. And then here you've got this nice music change as a new threat is introduced. You see there are drones that you have to now avoid.
I'm getting a few turrets too, so watch the skies and the ground.
And just kind of show you how these work. Let me wait until one comes back.
Be careful, okay?
So when one comes towards you, it'll make that noise and you've got a couple of seconds to get away. But if you fail, you will die. But again, same thing as with the falling, the respawn is pretty forgiving and you just respawn a little bit further back. Although it can be, you can get turned around a little bit if you're not careful about watching where you're going, just because of the nature of the game. But I think that's part of the joy of it, is being able to eventually learn your way around and traverse it really quickly and effectively, not having to like slow down so much once you kind of have an idea of what's going on. Ooh. Like I said, there's a lot of secret pathways in the game that I'm not going through right now because I want to save y'all some surprises. That's part of the joy of the exploration of the game. And then over here, you will see the other threat that Axel mentioned, the turret. You can see that little red dot in the front. That shows you where the beam is, where it's looking. And it's the same kind of thing. If you get in front of it, you'll have a couple of seconds before it shoots you. But you can hide behind these obstacles and it will no longer see you. So I can just to demonstrate briefly. So this is just a quick little puzzle where you have to navigate behind the boxes to make sure you're not visible in the sights of the turret, just to get you used to them. And then this is where I'm going to actually stop. This is our penultimate boss area. This is a collective base where you can see there's a lot of drones flying around, there's more turrets in there. And so this puzzle is more about using carrying, altering, more in like a puzzle and navigation sense, rather in like, whereas most of the game where you're jumping across the buildings, it's much more action oriented. There's also some more plot information that happens in here that I'm not going to spoil, so you'll have to get the full version of the game if you want to find out. And then over there in the background, you can see that big cloud. That is the cleanser, and that's where the final showdown will take place before the final ending cutscene that shows the big emotional reveal of the story. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this little demo of Parallel. There's a lot more to see in the full version of the game, which will be available on Steam and itch.io this summer. You can follow our social media pages. We have a website, Parallel Game 2020. You can follow us on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Twitter. All of that is linked through the website. And yeah, I really hope you enjoyed it. I really hope you play it when it comes out. Thanks so much for watching.